The Nephilim were on earth in those days, and also afterward. They were the mighty ones of old, beings born from the union of gods and humans. These giants lived in a world unlike anything we know today, a world before the Great Flood, a golden age of the lost civilizations of our past. In those times, kingship had descended from the heavens. The gods established their cities on earth, where they ruled alongside humanity. But from acts of corruption, a darker period began. The gods, displeased with what the earth had become, decided to cleanse it of corruption. In the Bible, it is written that God regretted creating humanity because mankind had corrupted the earth. To truly understand what happened during those ancient times requires more than the archaeological discoveries of Mesopotamia or reading the Bible. We must compare the ancient texts and reflect deeply. What was really happening on earth before the Great Flood? In the time before the Great Flood, the earth was ruled by the Anunnaki. During that era, humans and the Anunnaki coexisted on earth. Ancient texts reveal that long before humans ever existed, kingship descended from the heavens. According to ancient Sumerian records, this event occurred approximately 450,000 years ago. The Sumerian King List recounts this period, describing divine rulers governing from cities said to have been founded by the gods themselves. Among these cities were Eridu, Sippar, and Nippur, centers of power, knowledge, and worship. When the Anunnaki arrived on Earth, they likely descended into the Arabian Sea before traveling to the head of the Persian Gulf, where they established Eridu, their first station on Earth, which they called Home in Faraway Built. Leading them was Ea, later known as Enki, meaning Lord Earth. Enki emerges from the ancient texts as a skilled scientist and engineer, renowned for his intelligence and deep connection to water. As the pioneer of the Earth landing, he was distinguished by his horned headdress, a hallmark of Sumerian deities. The Sumerian King List describes the arrival of the Anunnaki on Earth at a time when humans did not yet exist. At the same time, the legends of Atlantis describe a highly advanced civilization, thriving in an age of unparalleled prosperity and innovation. As recounted by Plato in his Timaeus and Critias, Atlantis was an island empire located beyond the Pillars of Hercules. This powerful realm was composed of 10 kingdoms ruled by the descendants of Poseidon and Plato, whose divine lineage set them apart. At its heart lay the capital city of Atlantis, a marvel of engineering and design. The city was structured in concentric rings of alternating water and land, linked by massive canals. At its center stood the Grand Temple of Poseidon, constructed with gold, silver, and orichalcum, a mysterious metal said to glow with a fiery brilliance. This sacred space housed a colossal statue of Poseidon, driving 6 winged horses, a testament to the Atlanteans' connection to celestial forces. Surrounding the temple were majestic palaces, arenas, and advanced water systems, showcasing their mastery over nature and technology. Beyond the city, the Atlanteans shaped their environment with precision and purpose. Fertile plains stretched outwards, nourished by a network of intricate canals that irrigated the land and supported their agriculture. Their mountains yielded metals in abundance, while their forests supplied materials for shipbuilding. Atlantis's fleet was unparalleled, enabling trade and exploration on a global scale. These achievements point to a civilization far more advanced than those that came after them. The Atlanteans lived in a society characterized by order, balance, and enlightenment. Their laws, said to be inscribed on a central pillar within Poseidon's temple, guided their governance and ensured harmony among the 10 kingdoms. Culturally, the Atlanteans excelled in philosophy, the arts, and what might be described as early science. Their cities were adorned with structures and monuments that reflected their vast knowledge and deep understanding of the cosmos. If the legends of Atlantis are true, they suggest a world in which only the Atlanteans existed, a civilization untouched by the humans who would later rise. This interpretation aligns with ancient accounts of divine beings shaping the earth long before humanity emerged. The Atlanteans were not mere mortals, but a race of godlike entities, beings with extraordinary powers and wisdom. Their connection to celestial origins and their advanced capabilities present an undeniable parallel to the Anunnaki described in Sumerian texts. If we accept the legends of Atlantis, there is only one way to understand their existence. The Atlanteans are the same as the Anunnaki of Sumerian tradition, and the Elohim of the Bible, gods who descended from the heavens. These beings, revered as divine architects of civilization, shaped the early Earth, establishing the foundations of what would become the world we know today. But why did these celestial travelers come to Earth? The Sumerian King List leaves no clear answer. By comparing other sources, we can infer that the Anunnaki came in search of gold. Initially, their plan involved extracting gold from seawater, but this method proved inefficient. Consequently, they turned to the labor-intensive process of mining in southeastern Africa. This narrative is widely spread on the internet, but is it true? The Mesopotamian tablets do not explicitly mention gold as their objective. Other documents, such as the Bible, suggest that the gods sought valuable resources like gold, silver, and bronze. Recent discoveries provide compelling evidence of ancient gold mining activities in Africa, particularly in regions such as southern Zimbabwe and South Africa. Archaeologists have unearthed traces of extensive mining operations dating back tens of thousands of years, aligning intriguingly with the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki. These ancient mines, with their depth and complexity, suggest advanced knowledge and techniques far beyond those of primitive societies. The region's geological richness, especially its abundant gold deposits, makes it a plausible location for the operations described in ancient texts. Moreover, local legends and oral traditions in these regions speak of beings who came from the stars to mine resources, a narrative that parallels the Sumerian records. In ancient sources, particularly the Epic of Gilgamesh and other Near Eastern myths, pre-flood civilizations like the Atlanteans or other advanced societies are suggested to have existed. These cultures are often characterized by technological and scientific advancements, as well as their deep understanding of celestial phenomena. For instance, Josephus's writings reference the sons of Seth constructing columns to preserve antediluvian knowledge from future destruction. Similarly, the Nephilim, described in Genesis as the offspring of divine beings and humans, were said to embody extraordinary abilities, further implying a golden age of hybrid civilizations. For those who dismiss this as science fiction, the Mesopotamian tablets reveal otherwise. To deny their content would be to claim these stories are mere inventions. But if they were, how can we explain the remarkable detail in these accounts? Should we believe that Homo sapiens sapiens arose from natural evolution, created by chance, developed cities, dug canals, invented agriculture, livestock, the Neolithic Revolution, city structures, social organization, laws, the wheel, timekeeping, writing, schools, and then, after all this, created gods to claim these achievements were taught to them? More than that, these stories were recorded on clay tablets and preserved across millennia. Could such precision and coherence simply be fables or myths? After extensive study, reading, and investigation, there is undoubtedly a profound mystery here that defies simple explanations. As mentioned earlier, no Mesopotamian tablet explicitly claims the Anunnaki came for gold. Yet one thing is certain: the Anunnaki arrived on Earth, established cities, and set a lower class of gods, the Igigi, to work. These workers dug canals and descended to a land rich in resources. If the hypothesis about gold extraction is true, it would have required immense effort. Ultimately, 600 Anunnaki worked on Earth, with an additional 300 in the heavens. This is explicitly stated in the Enuma Elish. It is speculated that purified gold was transported via spacecraft to a mothership orbiting Earth, awaiting transfer to another planet. Possibly, the city of Sippar served as a central spaceport in Mesopotamia, aligning with the prominent peaks of Ararat. Evidence suggests a landing corridor was established, with Nibruki, or Nippur, the crossing place on Earth, acting as mission control. Commanding this massive operation was Enlil, Lord of the Command, whose complex featured tall antennas and expansive radar screens, as depicted in early Sumerian pictographs. Enlil and Enki, both sons of Anu, he of the heavens, were entangled in familial disputes over succession. Although Enki was the eldest, Enlil, born to a half-sister of Anu, was considered the heir apparent. This rivalry was further complicated by the arrival of Ninhursag, or Ninmah, their half-sister, who introduced additional tensions. But the labor was immense, and dissatisfaction grew among the gods. As millennia passed, the Anunnaki working in the mines became increasingly discontented with their grueling tasks. A critical turning point came during an inspection by Enlil, when the dissatisfied Anunnaki staged a mutiny. Enlil, faced with rebellion, contacted Anu, leading to a court-martial and intervention. Amid the chaos, Enki proposed a revolutionary idea: the creation of a new being to share the workload. According to the Atrahasis Epic and the Enuma Elish, a decision was made to create a new being: humans. The Mesopotamian tablets describe this as a pivotal moment. Enki suggested using the native ape men and ape women of southeastern Africa. He proposed marking them with the mark of the Anunnaki to enable them to perform mining tasks. After intense debate, Enki received authorization to create a Lulu, a primitive worker. Humans were created to bear the toils of the gods. Mesopotamian texts tell us that humanity was formed as a hybrid, blending the essence of the gods with the raw potential of the earth. The very same clay described in the Hebrew Bible as the raw material for the creation of humanity. This idea of divine human hybrids is not exclusive to Mesopotamian lore. The Hebrew Bible refers to the Elohim, a plural term for divine entities, who declare in Genesis, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." This narrative mirrors the story of the Anunnaki and their creation of humanity, emphasizing the shared origins of these accounts across cultures. The creation process itself, however, was far from simple. Ninhursag, designated as the principal healthcare officer, played a critical role in humanity's formation. Numerous attempts and modifications were made before the ideal method was refined and perfected. Texts like Enki and Ninmah, the Enuma Elish, and the Atrahasis Epic recount this tale. In a process very similar to our modern genetic laboratories, Enki and Ninhursag fashioned human beings. After much trial and error, the perfect model was realized, leading Ninhursag to exclaim joyfully, "I have created it. My hands have made it." The first Homo sapiens, described as Earth's initial test tube baby, was proudly presented for all to witness. However, similar to all hybrids, the first Earthling lacked the ability to reproduce independently. To address this, eggs from ape women were harvested, fertilized, and re-implanted into birth goddesses, 14 simultaneously, 7 destined to be male and 7 female. The Earthlings began assuming mining duties in southeastern Africa, alleviating the labor burden on the Igigi gods. But envy arose among the Anunnaki in Mesopotamia, who also desired rudimentary workers. Against Enki's objections, Enlil forcefully relocated some Earthlings to the Eden, the High Plains, the abode of the righteous ones in Mesopotamia. This act resonates in the Bible. "And the Lord took the Adam, and he placed him in the garden in Eden to till it and tend it." Driven by his dedication to humanity, Enki pursued further genetic experimentation. Using his own genetic material, he created a new perfect model of Earthling named Adapa. This enhanced being possessed superior intellect and acquired the crucial ability to reproduce but lacked the longevity of the Anunnaki. As the texts describe, with wide understanding, he had perfected him. To him he had given knowing, lasting life him he did not give. This narrative parallels the biblical story of Adam and Eve, who were endowed with knowledge and knowing, the Hebrew term also signifying procreation. Ancient Sumerian illustrations echo this tale. Enlil, upon discovering Enki's actions, was furious. Humanity, he believed, was never meant to possess the reproductive capabilities of the gods. He questioned Enki's motives, fearing that immortality might also be gifted to humans. Anu, disturbed by the development, summoned Adapa to the celestial abode. Enki, aware of the challenges and dangers Adapa might face, prepares him with a specific warning before his ascent. Adapa is instructed that upon reaching heaven, he will encounter the celestial guardians, Tammuz and Gizida, stationed at the gate of Anu's domain. These guardians, recognizing Adapa's significance and the favor shown to him by Enki, will intercede on his behalf. They will ensure that Anu, initially skeptical, receives him with a kind and welcoming disposition. Enki, however, is cautious of Anu's potential intentions and advises Adapa about a test awaiting him. Adapa is warned that during his audience with Anu, he will be offered 2 items: the bread of death and the water of death. Enki commands Adapa not to consume either, cautioning that these offerings might bring harm or serve as a divine trick to test his worthiness. Despite this, Adapa heeded Enki's warning and declined the bread and water of life, missing his chance for immortality. On his return, Adapa witnessed the magnificence of the cosmos and was instated as the chief priest of Eridu. Anu assured that the goddess of healing would cater to human afflictions, but the pursuit of eternal life was now beyond humanity's reach. Following these events, humanity flourished. The Anunnaki, satisfied with their creation, allowed humans to diversify their roles. They no longer toiled solely in mines, but took on diverse tasks, including constructing temples for the gods and acquiring skills like cooking, dancing, and music. Over time, the Anunnaki grew intimately involved with humanity. Sharing a genetic essence made procreation between the two possible, and children were born unto them. Under the guidance of their creators, humanity thrived, and cities like Eridu and Nippur became centers of early civilization, where agriculture, construction, and governance flourished. The world was not without its complications. The Bible and the Book of Enoch reveal a time when the sons of the gods, the Anunnaki, fell in love with human women and had children with them. These children, known as the Nephilim, were hybrid beings with extraordinary abilities. Genesis 6:4 describes them as the mighty men of old, the men of renown. Similarly, the Gilgamesh Epic introduces us to figures like Gilgamesh, who is 2/3 divine and 1/3 mortal. These hybrids were both protectors and disruptors, bringing knowledge and innovation, but also chaos and moral corruption. The Nephilim, according to the Bible, were the mighty ones, born from the union of celestial beings and earthly women. They became rulers, warriors, and leaders, described as the heroes of old, giants who stood apart from humanity in their power and influence. In Greek mythology, similar hybrid beings appear as demigods like Hercules, who inherited divine strength but also human flaws. Across cultures, these hybrid beings were both admired and feared, embodying the complex relationship between the divine and the mortal. Could they be the same? Could Gilgamesh be a Nephilim? All the texts we can consult about that time clearly and unequivocally demonstrate that a great exchange took place. The sons of the gods shared knowledge with humans, teaching them agriculture, plant cultivation, metallurgy, arts, and warfare. Yet this exchange came at a cost. The hybrids, the Nephilim, grew ambitious, and under their influence, humanity began to stray from the order set by the gods. These developments were met with increasing unease by Enlil. The initial motive and commitment to the mission on Earth had waned, with indulgence becoming the primary focus of the Anunnaki, especially concerning the hybrid race. Humanity endured immense hardship. A mother's love was overpowered by hunger. Enlil saw an opportunity to curb the declining moral standards of the Anunnaki and humanity. He persuaded the gods to withhold aid, intending to reduce the human population through starvation. The Book of Jubilees expands upon the narratives found in the Book of Genesis and Mesopotamian tablets, offering intriguing details that enrich the stories of the pre-diluvial patriarchs. It provides unique insights, such as naming the spouses and daughters of these figures and elaborating on humanity's experiences during those ancient times. For example, while the Bible briefly identifies Jared as Enoch's father, his name meaning descent, it offers little explanation regarding the significance of his name or lineage. In contrast, the Book of Jubilees introduces an additional layer of detail, stating that in the 11th Jubilee, Jared married Baraka, a daughter of Rasujal and Jared's father's brother. This union resulted in the birth of Enoch, a figure described as the first to master writing, knowledge, and wisdom. He recorded celestial patterns and marked the months to enable humanity to understand the seasons of the year. These accomplishments portray Enoch as not only a patriarch, but also as a scholar and a pioneer in early human thought. The Book of Jubilees further explains that in the 12th Jubilee, Enoch married Edni, the daughter of Danel, and together they had a son, Methuselah. Enoch then spent 6 Jubilees with the angels of God, who revealed the secrets of the earth and heavens to him. These heavenly teachings, meticulously documented by Enoch, cemented his role as a bridge between the divine and mortal realms. However, this age of enlightenment gave way to turmoil. The Book of Genesis recounts that prior to the deluge, the sons of the gods saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took them as wives, whomever they chose. This led to divine regret, as the Lord repented that he had made man on earth, and declared, "I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth." The Book of Jubilees suggests that Enoch played a critical role in these events, standing as a witness against the Watchers, celestial beings who had violated divine laws by mingling with humans. Enoch testified to their sins, an act that ultimately resulted in his being taken away from humanity to the Garden of Eden, a sanctuary described as one of the 4 divine places on earth. There, Enoch found refuge and composed his testament, which would become a source of wisdom for future generations. The narrative shifts to Noah, a key figure chosen to endure the deluge. His birth, occurring during the chaotic period when the sons of the gods interacted with mortal women, brought unexpected challenges. The Book of Enoch recounts that Methuselah arranged a marriage for his son Lamech, and Lamech's wife bore him a child. However, the birth of Noah created shock and confusion. Unlike others of his kind, Noah's appearance was extraordinary. He bore striking resemblance to the sons of the God of heaven. Lamech, troubled by his son's unusual features, confided in Methuselah, expressing deep concern. "I have begotten a strange son, diverse from and unlike man, resembling the sons of the God of heaven. His nature is different, and he is not like us." Fearing that Noah might not be his biological child but the result of angelic interference, Lamech implored Methuselah to seek counsel from Enoch, who now dwelled among the divine beings. Methuselah obliged, ascending to the heavenly realms to consult his father. Enoch confirmed Noah's lineage, assuring Methuselah that Noah was indeed Lamech's son. However, Enoch also revealed a prophecy he had learned from the heavenly tablets. A flood will bring forth vast destruction for a year, and only this child, Noah, and his kin will survive. Noah's unique appearance, Enoch explained, signified his destiny to preserve life and initiate a new era. This foreknowledge highlights Enoch's role not only as a recorder of divine secrets, but also as a harbinger of humanity's survival through the catastrophic events to come. Turning back to the Mesopotamian tablets, by reading the Atrahasis Epic, we can observe a growing noise and rebellion, a metaphor perhaps for the moral and social corruption that spread across the land. The Sumerian King List and other texts echo this decline, describing a world where divine order was replaced by chaos and greed. In Shuruppak, under Ninhursag's dominion, the bond between humans and gods deepened. For the first time, a man was crowned king. As human suffering escalated, one man was chosen. According to some accounts, his name was Ziusudra, according to others, Atrahasis or Utnapishtim. He was a righteous man who sought Enki's aid, for the matter at hand was the fate of humanity. Would the creations of Enki and Ninhursag be allowed to turn to clay as Enlil desired, or should the seed of mankind be preserved? Taking initiative yet honoring his vow, Enki saw a possibility to save humanity through Ziusudra. During Ziusudra's temple prayers, Enki discreetly communicated urgent directives, feigning a monologue. "Tear down the house, build a ship, give up possessions, seek thou life. Forswear belongings, keep soul alive. Aboard ship take thou the seed of all living things. That ship thou shaft build, her dimensions shall be to measure." In antiquity, an underwater vessel, described as a circular vessel, was designed, as mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Ancient Sumerian manuscripts detail its dimensions and layout so meticulously that a visual representation could be constructed. Enki equipped Ziusudra, the vessel's operator, with a navigator, assigning him the task of steering towards the Mount of Salvation, Mount Ararat, which, as the highest elevation in the Near East, would be the first to surface from the deluge. The narrative of the flood is outstanding, and you can see a full dramatization based on the real Mesopotamian tablet in the Gilgamesh movie here on the channel. The gods, watching from above, became disillusioned. They had once guided humanity with purpose, but now they saw their creation faltering. The decision was made. The earth would be cleansed. The great flood would come, erasing the corruption and resetting the balance. According to the Sumerian King Lists, the deluge overwhelmed the land after 120 shars. This unit of time, the shar, as interpreted by Zechariah Sitchin, represents one orbit of the planet of the Anunnaki, Nibiru, equivalent to 3,600 Earth years. This places the deluge approximately 13,000 years ago, coinciding with the abrupt end of the last ice age and the beginning of agriculture. Another 3,600 years later, the new Stone Age emerged, marked by the advent of pottery. Then, after yet another 3,600 years, civilization suddenly blossomed in the plain between the rivers, known as Sumer. This story is not unique to Mesopotamian texts. In Genesis, God decides to flood the earth after regretting humanity's wickedness. The Atrahasis Epic attributes the flood to Enlil, who grew weary of humanity's noise and rebellion. In both accounts, a hero is chosen to preserve life. Noah in the Bible and Ziusudra in Sumerian texts. This motif of a great flood and a chosen savior repeats globally, from the Indian story of Manu to the Aztec tale of Coxcoxtli. Geological evidence supports these flood narratives, with theories pointing to the flooding of the Black Sea or Mesopotamian river valleys as possible inspirations. The flood not only marked the end of the Nephilim, but also reshaped the world. Yet, echoes of their existence persist in legends of giants found across cultures. The Bible recounts Goliath, a remnant of the Nephilim, while Norse mythology speaks of the Jotun, and Native American traditions tell of towering beings who roamed the earth. The antediluvian world presents a consistent narrative across cultures. The Anunnaki, Elohim, and Atlanteans were likely cultural variations of the same celestial beings. The Nephilim, as hybrid offspring, embodied the intersection of divine and mortal, shaping early civilizations and catalyzing their downfall. The Great Flood, remembered across cultures, stands as a testament to the catastrophic reset of humanity's trajectory. In one of the channel's earlier videos, we drew parallels that are important for those seeking to understand the mysteries of the past. In that video, we observed how the knowledge offered by the sons of the gods was considered a curse, and how it was seen as an abominable act in the eyes of certain gods, Enlil being the main one in Babylonian mythology. In the Hebrew Bible, such an attitude was attributed to the conceived singular God, Yahweh, who seemingly acts in completely antagonistic ways. On one hand, he creates humans, then punishes them for seeking the mysteries of the garden he himself planted. Later, after expelling humanity from paradise, he regrets creating them and intends to destroy them, choosing only one man who appeared righteous and good. That video is crucial, and I recommend you watch it after finishing this one. To unravel this puzzle shrouded in the veils of time, we must turn to ancient literature and the most recent scientific and archaeological studies.
I'm Lucas, a Brazilian who has been studying the subject over 10 years. I am extremely passionate about the subject, and I am extremely grateful for all of you who come to this channel to watch these videos. And here, I'm presenting to you my studies and my conclusions.
I dedicate myself fully to studying all editing tools and AI-generated imagery to provide you with the best audiovisual experience within my reach. I invite you to subscribe to the channel so that together we can uncover the mysteries of our past. See you in the next video.